Ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about Vigilance Wing. This weapon's been around since the launch of Destiny 2, and this weapon has always been good. I mean, it's pretty much tailored for use in the Crucible, and at no point was it ever weak or underpowered. It's always been right there, knocking on the door of the room that the cool kid meta weapons were hanging out in. But then a little while back, high-impact pulse rifles received a small damage buff, and Vigilance Wing is technically a high-impact pulse rifle. And what equated to a nice usability buff to other high impacts, translated into a nice boost to Vigilance Wing's overall viability. And in Beyond Light, a lot of top tier weapons currently are getting sunset or nerfed in one way or the other. 600 RPM auto rifles, damage decreased. 150 RPM hand cannons, fire rate reduced. Sniper rifles overall are seeing an aim assist nerf. And Mountaintop is both nerfed and sunset, thank God. But Vigilance Wing, which right now is a very strong weapon, is not getting touched. And with these sandbox changes, the door is now open for Vigilance Wing to slip right in as one of the most powerful PvP primaries in the game. And believe me, people are already starting to take notice. Not only have I been getting a handful of requests to review this weapon, but according to Destiny Tracker, Vigilance Wing is sitting at the 7th most used gun in quick play Crucible game modes over the past month, and it is trending upwards. So we'll dive into Vigilance Wing in this review and take a look at what exactly makes it such a capable weapon in the Crucible, and we'll see just how strong it really is. And as always, if at any point during this video you find it useful, helpful, or enjoyable, hitting the like and subscribe button both go a long way in the overall success of this video and the success of the Ironworker Gaming channel. And the best part is, both are completely free, and feel free to turn on notifications with the bell icon to ensure that you never miss a future upload. But let's kick things off by taking a look at Vigilance Wing stats and damage numbers. Vigilance Wing is an exotic kinetic pulse rifle firing at 530 rounds per minute with 50 rounds in the magazine. Taking a look at the weapon's stats, we have good range, good stability, and average reload and handling when compared to other pulse rifles. For the hidden stats on Light.gg, Vigilance Wing has a very respectable aim assist value of 60, a bounce intensity of 21, and a recoil of 79, causing this weapon to pull to the right. The intrinsic trait is Harsh Truths, where this weapon fires a 5-round burst. When a nearby ally is killed, gain health regeneration and increase movement speed. The exotic perk is Last Stand. Improve weapon performance and greatly increase recovery when the wielder is the last living member of a fire team. Vigilance Wing also has a catalyst that can be found as a random drop at the end of a Crucible match. Once obtained, it can be unlocked by getting 5 blood for blood medals and 250 Crucible final blows with Vigilance Wing. Once these requirements are met, you will have the ability to fire Vigilance Wing in full auto. For the damage numbers, Vigilance Wing will hit for 24 points of damage on a crit and 16 points of damage to the body, giving us an optimal time to kill of 0.77 seconds, requiring 9 crits, and a body shot time to kill of 1.27 seconds, requiring 13 shots landed. But on a Guardian that is running 8 resilience or less, you can down them in roughly 0.83 seconds by landing 5 crits and 5 body shots, which is extremely forgiving. And when squaring off against the Guardian in their super, you do have the ability to down them in roughly 1.5 seconds with 4 bursts. The optimal range for Vigilance Wing is going to be from 35 meters in, and it does perform pretty well from the 35 meter mark. And we do have a very gradual damage fall off, finally bottoming out at 68 meters away. We do have a few additional points of utility to look at here also. First, Harsh Truce. During testing, this procced when Agent Sparkles died when I was 10 meters away from her. This will give us the ability to start regenning health and increase our movement speed significantly. Harsh Truce does have an 8-second window on it, but just from past experience, I swear this perk is procced when an ally died who was absolutely nowhere near me. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, or maybe the perk's a little bit buggy, but in a good way. With Last Stand, we do get improved recovery and weapon performance, and this does seem to boost the weapon's stability, handling, and reload speed when we're the last living member of a fire team. Once procced, this has no timer and does persist as long as you are the last one alive. But this does not work if you're playing solo. You actually need to have a fire team, and they need to be dead. Then for a quick peek at the in-game recoil, and keep in mind that I am playing on PC. But I'm firing this thing in full auto, and I mean, how much more can you ask for here? It does fade off to the right a little bit, but all in all, that is a nice tight pattern. Now, I know I may have left some questions unanswered pertaining to Harsh Truce and the Last Stand perk, but I do intend on doing some pretty extensive testing on those things in the future. So keep an eye out for that video. But with that, let's head into the Crucible and talk about this weapon's performance. Alright, first off, Vigilance Wing is a weapon that definitely feels custom built for the Crucible, and especially your competitive game modes. Both Harsh Truce and Last Stand can be extremely useful in 3v3 environments with a more coordinated fire team. And it's kind of a bummer that your teammates need to die for you to reap the benefits, but the improved weapon performance, movement speed, recovery, and health regen can really get you out of a jam sometimes, or help you clutch up and make a big play. Then we have really solid time to kills for both the optimal and the body shot values. That 1.27 second body shot time to kill is the absolute best in the whole weapon class. And that optimal time to kill of 0.77 seconds, I mean, really, don't pay too much attention to it. If you're able to clip off 9 consecutive crits, I mean, that's great. But it's really the bullet combination to deal lethal damage in 0.83 seconds that we need to be talking about here. That is only a 50% crit ratio to down a Guardian in 2 bursts in a very short amount of time. So not only is Vigilance Wing deadly, but extremely forgiving at the same time, so it can serve as an exceptionally good option for lower skill players. And Vigilance Wing is tacking on more forgiveness in other aspects. We already saw that bullet grouping earlier, and this is not an unruly weapon by any means when it comes to stability. We also have a good range stat and a decent aim assist value, which when working in tandem allow for accurate shots with a good amount of bullet magnetism, or reticle stickiness if you're playing on console. And you can definitely feel this in game. A target's hitbox just seems enlarged by a pretty fair amount, making landing shots pretty effortless. Also, being that it is a pulse rifle, Vigilance Wing has good physical range and a gradual damage falloff, allowing it to still hit pretty hard from safer distances. Then we have a magazine size of 50, so there is potential to down 5 Guardians in a single clip, as long as you're securing 2 burst kills. And here again, because of that friendly bullet combination, this is not a huge ask. Also, in 6v6 game modes, the Harsh Truce buff will be proccing a lot, especially if you're playing around your teammates. With the amount of dying that goes on in quick play Crucible game matches, you'll have a movement buff, and your health will be regenning quite often. Both can serve as great offensive tools or survivability tools. We do have a few drawbacks to touch on though. First, the sights. I mean, they're not great, especially if you have the Heaven's Vigil ornament equipped with that diamond-shaped garbage floating around the middle. I mean, that's not cool. But good news, this can be fixed. If you have the Vigil for Saint 14 ornament, this will really widen out and clean up that sight window. Unfortunately, I didn't pick this ornament up when it was available because aesthetically, I didn't like the way it made the gun look. At the time, I didn't know how it affected the sights, but when it comes around again, I'm gonna be all over it. Next, if you're predominantly a quick play or rumble player, Last Stand is not gonna be proccing for you. Because as I said earlier, you do need to have teammates and they all need to be dead. Then Vigilance Wing can struggle just a touch against highly mobile targets. It does pull slightly to the right, and you do need to both track your target and account for the pause between bursts. I mean, it's certainly not something that's impossible to make work, but it can require some practice to get a feel for. Then the ammo reserves can become an issue depending on how liberally you're spraying those bullets around. And some people just flat out might not like the 5-round burst cadence. It feels very different, even when you compare it to a 4-round burst pulse rifle. So I couldn't fault anybody in saying they don't like the weapon just because of the basic function alone. So for the verdict, and I'm sure you're not going to be surprised to hear that I think Vigilance Wing is a phenomenal weapon, and it's one that I would expect to see used very heavily in Beyond Light. The usage rate is already starting to ramp up, but with the nerf to adaptive autos, and the question mark still looming over the performance of 150 RPM hand cannons that are being moved to 140s, it would not surprise me one bit to see Vigilance Wing move to the #1 spot on the usage rate charts. This is a gun that is very strong, very forgiving, and very user-friendly, and it's a weapon that handles itself very well regardless of the playlist or game mode. This is a top-tier weapon, and while it always has been a good option, I really think with the sandbox changes coming in the very near future, Vigilance Wing is gonna shine. So if you did enjoy this video, both liking and subscribing are greatly appreciated. And feel free to turn on notifications with the bell icon to keep up with future content on this channel. If you'd like to catch me live, you can look for Ironworker814 on Twitch, drop me a follow, and you'll get notified whenever I hop on. And to contact me, you can look for Ironworker814 on Twitter, but the best way to do so is simply to comment down below. I'll be sure to get back to you. And with all that being said, I'd like to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out this weapon review. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.